So you went from being anorexic to product placement. Harder than last time supplements on the floor. You went from being anorexic to like a world-class powerlifter, but do you think that that's helped to improve, or does it make it even worse because now you have to lift a certain number, and if you don't lift that number, then that's not a good thing? Or does it help because the focus is now on what you lift and not what you look like? So what do you think? Is it pro or con? Good or bad?
I feel like powerlifting has been the biggest like lifesaver in my journey. I was eating according to my goals, and it like pushed me to go out of my comfort zone and eat more, because I knew if I didn't fuel myself properly, then I wouldn't be able to perform as well in the gym. And I started to focus more on lifting rather than like cardio, which was a huge like switch in my head, because it made me feel like I didn't need to do hours and hours on end of running to achieve a body that I want. Like I could go to the gym for like an hour and lift some heavy weights, and I would still even get more progress than I would have if I would just to run. So just having that outlet of powerlifting really saved me, because I knew that if I lost weight again, like I wouldn't be allowed in the gym, because I was heavily monitored by like my mom and my doctors, and they saw that powerlifting was doing me good. So like they finally allowed me to go to the gym, and that's kind of when like things just switched for me.
So yeah, sounds like something being performance-based as opposed to being based on how you look is a much better alternative. And a lot of times I see problems developing from doing cardio, and you say you're doing some cardio, but maybe not too much. Do you see that as potentially being a problem? Like, let's say you got into, like, I love to bike ride. Do you think that could be a dangerous thing to take on?
Yeah, that's kind of how my eating disorder started too. I was in the cross country team, and I was doing so well, and I thought like, how could I improve more? So then I started decreasing my calories so I could become lighter. And don't get me wrong, like I was a really, really good cross country runner, but it didn't come at the cost of my health. Like I should have fueled myself properly, and that's when you thrive in sports, is when you have those two in balance with each other.
Yeah, and I totally get it, because like in cycling, the lighter you are, the better you're going to ride, because it's a power to weight ratio. So if I lost 30 pounds of muscle, I could ride faster on the bike. So the temptation would be, well, why don't I just get as thin as I possibly can, start starving myself, get lighter, then I can race faster. And that does in fact lead to a lot of disorders in eating for bike riders, marathon runners, these kind of things, because you will to an extent see a performance boost, but if you take it too far, that's when you go on the downhill.
Yep.
What advice would you give to people if they're suffering from poor body image? Maybe not to your extent. Maybe they're just like checking out pictures on social media and they're just not really that happy with it. Maybe they're a little bit overweight. Like, what would you tell them?
I would definitely say, like, know your values and base things off of that. Like, if you have a good inner core of like a self-being and self-worth, then I feel like you accept your body. Like it's okay if you want to improve it, but you accept it at where it's at, and you know that you could do anything to make it better, or you could do something to make it better.
Mosquito.
You could do something to make it better, but not let it become an obsession. And I feel like with body image, you need to really focus on your strengths and know that like what you see on social media isn't reality. Not even like your famous, not even your famous fitness person looks how they look online. It's all about lighting, and it's all about angles, and there's just no comparison to be made, because it's like comparing apples to oranges.
Absolutely. You said to accept yourself for who you are at this point. So to me, it's like if you can learn to love yourself as you are right now, and then every little bit extra, that's just icing on the cake. That's bonus. That's why I keep telling everyone to just be happy with what you are. I don't care if you're 400 pounds, love yourself, but try to improve it. And don't try to improve it and compare yourself to your favorite model on Instagram. It's too much. Just be the best you can that you can be. Maybe it's halfway to your dream physique, because that dream physique, even if you get it, you're not going to be happy. So don't try to get there. Just try to set realistic goals. Be happy with you are right now, and anything you can get above that, that's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
kind of off topic here, but does it bother you when people accuse you of taking steroids? Because after all, I mean, you are so thin, and look at, you're lifting 300 and some pounds on a deadlift. Like, not many people could do that. So is that accusation annoying? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, how much does that piss you off?
I would say like 5 because I think people are crazy if they ever like accuse me of anything, because I'm like 4'10", so I'm really short, and I would be huge if I, well, not, I would be pretty, a lot more dense if I did do steroids.
You know what, though? A lot of people would take steroids and they wouldn't even get to your level of development, nor they could take everything. They'd be growing mustaches, shaving beards, and they wouldn't be deadlifting 300 and something pounds. I think a lot of people just think if you take steroids, you're going to look like me or something as a female. But for the most part, steroids are underwhelming in terms of what they can actually do. So like when somebody says, hey, you look like you're on steroids, I mean, for me, I thought you were going to say like a 1. Like, doesn't bother me at all. Because to me, it's like the ultimate compliment. Like, how is it not? Oh my goodness, you must be on steroids. And you're thinking, I'm not. How great is that? Like, that's what I would think.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. And then I hate whenever they do it just to like undermine your hard work, though. They're like,
yeah, that is annoying. Yeah.
Steroids, sorry, that's dog. Especially if I do like a transformation post on my Instagram, and they're like, you only were able to achieve that because you took steroids. And it's like, no.
Yeah, all you can do is say, well, thanks for the compliment. The fact that you think that I could only do this with the use of PEDs just goes to show how hard I worked. Or even you can deflect it by saying, like, you know, it's genetics. Like, really, like, I look at your strength and I totally think that you're natural. And I'm just thinking this girl has some kind of amazing genetics. Because, like, I just think, yeah, you worked hard for it, but I know that there's a lot of good genes in that body of yours to be allowing you to have that much muscle and strength at such a young age.
Thank you. I thought I had bad genes, but I guess I have good.
It's kind of like a lot of people think I'm narcissistic because I say, hey, you know, I have a great genetics and I have this and that and I'm lucky, and I'm like thinking, like, if anything, that's taking the compliment off of myself and giving it to someone else. Like, I was born with a genetic ability to have a world record in the bench press. Yeah, I trained for it, but if I hadn't had those great genes, I wouldn't have got there. So I do think that we are born with, like, on a spectrum. Some people have very low chances to get really big muscles or strength. Some people great chances just because of our genetics. And I think that you or me, I think we have way above average genetics to build muscle. So when people think you must have done it from steroids, it's like, it's genes and I worked hard. So it's not to take anything away, but like, I do think it's a lot to do with genetics.
Absolutely.
So another popular trend on social media is that whole slim, thick body, like with the tiny, tiny weights and glutes that go on for days. And people literally are getting surgeries to get this. Like, they're sucking out their fat and they're injecting it in their bums. And it's kind of making this image of a female that is almost impossible to get unless genetics are just in your favor. So what damage do you think that could do, like, mentally on people's body? It's like, when I was a kid, like, I'm 45. When I was young, it was all about being thin. Thin was in, but since then, I find it's not so much that. It's gone more into this, like, massive curvy bodies. Like, what dangers do you think are associated with that?
Yeah, it's so weird how trends are always changing. Like, people hop on one bandwagon to the next. I definitely think it's really damaging because you feel like, since all of these other girls are getting these things, like, that's what guys are into too. So like, guys are more attracted to people looking like that, and so you feel like pressure to look that way, and you want to look like those people that you see on Instagram, but that's not even realistic because they're getting surgeries and stuff like that. And so you're training for things that aren't even achievable. It really messes with your body image because you feel like that's the ideal body type, and it just feels so unachievable to get.
Yeah, like, I feel like it's almost like people want us to fail. Like, they're setting us up for failure. Like, as soon as something's somewhat realistic for people to achieve, you have to up it and have something else that we can't achieve. I don't know if it's for companies to make money or something, but it seems like every single body image that we want to look like, it's nothing like we actually look. It's like we're in a fantasy world. And I see that in movies. Like all our superheroes, movie stars, they're all taking PDs. Well, not all, but so many of them are taking BDs, doing these transformations, putting on 30 pounds of muscles, or they're putting on their muscle suits and looking like impossible characters, and we watch that and we're like, wow, I see a He-Man and She-Ra, I want to look like that. And I feel like there's nothing we can do. So it just shows how much more we need to stop comparing ourselves to other people and just be happy from within. Because I don't know, I'm a guy, but like what I find attractive in people is confidence, just believing in yourself and not how you look. Like if you're confident, like for me, if you're 400 pounds and I look good, I'd rather see that than be a 10 on 10 model and be, I'm fat, I don't look good, and I'm upset, and I don't. If you can be happy with yourself, that goes so much further than trying to look like something that you'll never be. And that confidence from within, that radiates. People can see that.
Exactly.